Welcome back to the channel. Drew here, and damage claims are a part of the Turo business if you do it for any period of time. We're going to talk about how to initially prevent these type of situations, and then secondly, how to handle them and possibly maximize a little bit extra profit when you do have damage claims. Let's talk about it. Here we go. Alright, so if you follow my channel for any length of time, you know I prefer a little bit different model of tour that I've been doing for the last 2.5, 3 years especially, and that's finding newer, hard to get a hold of, pre-ordered vehicles that I can rent for anywhere from 10 months to 18 months, and they depreciate very, very slowly, or oftentimes you can sell for more profit. Now, that is becoming more and more difficult to do based on more inventory out there for dealers to get a hold of, and also interest rates going up. So the higher end cars are a little bit harder to maximize your profits when you're paying substantially higher interest rates. But I'm not going to disregard that. I have a Ford Lightning coming next month. Difficult vehicle to get a hold of, and one of the safest vehicles as far as depreciation goes, Ford Lightning Pro. But I'm having to go back to the roots of and the base level of the Turo business and adding some cash cars that I can rent for lower cost to diversify the fleet that I have. And many of you built your whole businesses about this. So behind me I have a 2013, it's a Honda Pilot. I bought this vehicle for just under $12,000, and I'm going to tell you, why I like the vehicle initially. First of all, that's a little bit more than most people pay for their cash cars. But if you understand my business model is I don't like to have the lowest end of the lowest end as far as the rental income, and you're not a mechanic like I'm not, and you're having to rely on other mechanics. I like something a little bit more that I feel like I'm going to have less problems with, and I can rent for longer, and then I can sell that vehicle and get most of my money back. So this purchase, the reason I liked it is it had, if you saw my last video on used cash cars and targeting used cash cars, it had pretty much all the boxes. It's a Honda Pilot, which typically I can rent for many years, and they always hold their value. Secondly, it had low miles for the year. It's a 2013. It had just over 100,000 miles. Thirdly, it had an 8-seater. It actually has 8 seatbelts in the vehicle, which is a big plus. It's got leather, pretty much all the options on the vehicle, including backup cameras and that kind of stuff, and that can prevent small damage claims. It also has things like the DVD screens, which some of the older people like when they're taking trips and so forth. The vehicle had no accidents. It had new tires, and it also had recently done brakes. So it had pretty much everything that I'm looking for, and that's why I paid a little bit higher than I normally would for a used cash car. This is a car I hope to rent for 18 months, 2 years, maybe even 2.5 or 3 years, and I hope to sell it for around $10,000 or so, and I think I can do that in my market. Maybe not in your market, but in my market I can do that. I've had the vehicle, I had 4 or 5 rentals, everything was going great. Start out a little bit lower pricing. I was basically able to start inching up my pricing into the holiday season. 5th or 6th rental, and we had an accident. Now, this was not the first accident in the vehicle. The first accident was, it covered this same exact area and also the back of the vehicle, and it was about, Turo ended up cutting me about $2,000 for that initial damage. Now, whenever I have surface type damage, as long as it doesn't affect the drivability and too much the aesthetic of the vehicle, I'll oftentimes just buff it up as much as I can, fix it to where it's repairable and it's not super obvious, and then I just let the nearest, the next few guests know, hey, there was some minor damage, doesn't affect the quality of the vehicle, just want to give you a heads up. Now, this particular rental, I didn't have good vibes on. I did meet the guest. I didn't actually look at the date of birth on the license, and the customer shows up, and it's a mother and a daughter, and the mother, the grandmother really, is she was 88 years old, and she was the one renting the vehicle, but actually it was for the daughter. And you've had this before, for some reason the daughters didn't want to use her license, and usually that means they have some stuff on their record, or for whatever reason they don't want to rent the vehicle. Now, because the guest showed up And, I've gone through all my checklists. At that point, I did release the vehicle. That being said, we live and we learn, and this kind of situation happens. I had some pre-existing damage from the previous damage on this side panel here, so I was really interested to see how Turo was going to do that. And so they're giving me, they're docking me $1,050 of that payment. And so that's where I have to decide, is this worth me trying to fix the vehicle without using a professional body shop to try to save some money and keep some of the profit from the income that Turo is giving me. In this situation, I actually have damage into the frame, multiple issues here with the broken light and so forth. And so I'm a little bit more unsure about kind of doing a quick COD job for the damage. So in this case, I'm actually going to take it to a body shop today and try to get a real estimate. And then that'll determine as far as which way is better to go. Do I try to fix it in-house, with my own contacts, or do I have a professional body shop to where they find more damage and they can do a supplement to get more money? Remember, Turo will always send out their initial snapshot estimate. Sometimes it's really fair, sometimes it's low, based on what's visible in the damage. But if a situation where there's going to be substantially, potentially more damage inside the vehicle, like frame and different issues, they will end up paying more if a real body shop submits supplements in the process. So that's something you need to be aware of. A lot of times, if you're looking for ways to get contacts, you don't have a lot of contacts on how to get small touch-up repairs, I would recommend, when you have a day off or whatever, go to a few of the larger dealerships and just drive to the back lot, and they'll usually have guys back there who are doing the touch-up work for dealerships. Every big dealership has guys that they pay wholesale, pricing to do many different vehicles, and they usually go there 1 or 2 days a week and fix a lot of their trades that come in. And so these are people that you can meet them, you can get their contact information, and then you can work out something maybe a little priced up from wholesale, but a lot cheaper than a real body shop, and you can negotiate good value, and you get a couple of those guys, and oftentimes they can fix a lot of your fleet when it comes in, and you can save some of that money that Turo pays out right away. When I have damage claims, it's about I would say 60-40, where I see what Turo is actually gonna pay, and then I realize, hey, I can get it fixed well enough. It's not perfect, but pretty close to where it's not going to be visible in pictures. You do not want to be taking if the damage is still visible. If you can't fix it where it's not visible anymore, then potentially it could be docked against you in the future if you have the same area damage as is right here. So that's something to keep in mind. It still takes time, it still takes headache, which is why I don't prefer to have a lot of those issues. But if you have the time and you have a little bit extra time, it can be beneficial for you. And sometimes damage claims can help your bottom line. So in this market, coming into a recession type year, many Turo hosts are going to have to find little extra ways to make extra money, especially if you're going into slow season like I am right now. You need to be prepared for that, and we'll talk more about that in the future. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, I'm out. Thanks.